Hey everybody, Shay here. Welcome back to another blind let's play of Cyberpunk 2077. I have taken a nap because of, for those who skipped the last episode because I was reading the internet stuff, I had some sort of glitch, malfunction, might be, while reading the internet. And I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if it's because I read for the entire day. It was day when I started last episode, and an hour later it was nighttime, and I glitched out. Anyways, I put on some music just to maybe change, have something going on in the background while reading some database stuff. So if this isn't for you, of course, skip this episode as well. I haven't even gotten to the TV yet, okay? But I'm going to be catching up on some database stuff. Oh, the music doesn't play when I'm in here. Oh, there I go, thinking I'm setting the mood and stuff. Anyways, and then we have this stuff. Like, this one was lit up when I started, Ghost Town. But I mean, I was on track to do the Evelyn quest. Find Fingers' clinic. But it switched me to Ghost Town. So I mean, the game is doing that. I didn't choose to do that, and that's how I fall into certain threads. Is because I'm starting somewhere, but then I guess I don't know. Do I, when you close the game and come back in or something? I don't know. I don't know how it's deciding what I should do next, or if it's like a suggestion. The game is saying, hey, you should do the thing that I've highlighted when you've come into the game. You probably want to do this narratively first or something. This was lit up. I don't know if that's what's going on here. I don't understand the meta, because that's not what I was on. I'm fairly certain I was on Fingers. Anyways, point is, we are going to be doing database stuff. I'm going to catch up on this because not that these things can be over time. I'll get to the ones that are like, cars and guns and all that. That's not really important to me right now. The first ones, and maybe this goes short and I get to the TV sooner, but it's the ones that are, relevant to locations I've been to, people that I've run into, heard about. I want that context before moving on. Everything's good? Okay, so one of the priciest and most technologically advanced dollhouses in Night City, Clouds, offers you an experience tailored to your deepest desires you might not even be aware of. First, you jack into the system, then your fantasies and preferences are scanned, and finally the data is automatically transferred to the most suitable doll who eagerly fulfills them. The doll is controlled by a chip, which means they aren't aware of what happens in the session, and their memory is wiped every time. Dollhouses are frequented not only by people with your run-of-the-mill fetishes, but also those who are antisocial or cripplingly shy. Strangely enough, when she was explaining this stuff to me up front, I misinterpreted dolls to be synthetic, like replicant style people, but not people. People, but with chips in them. So yeah, I don't know where my brain was at, because then I understood they had chips in them. I don't know. I thought they were like dolls. They were like real dolls. Like real dolls. Like Cyberpunk real dolls. Real dolls, but these ones could actually like act like people. Something like that. But then I was like, oh no, the crime thing, Evelyn. Oh god, Evelyn was a doll. Right, and then those associations came to me a little bit late, I admit. Oh hey. That might have happened with a patch or something, because I know I complained about that. There was a new tag here. I clicked on it, and then when you click off of it, it would still say new tag while you were in the window was still open, but now it went away. And I clicked on this, and it went away. Fourth wall. And the fourth wall. Nice. Breaking the fourth wall. An established brain dance studio with years of industry experience, Fourth Wall owns a large recording complex in Japantown. The studio has become famous for its controversial documentaries and reality shows scrolled using the latest brain dance technology. Fixers. Wakako's Den. Wait, I've met more. Oh, but I haven't been to their locations, maybe? I don't know. Wakako has an office in the back room of a Panchico parlor in Jig Street. By day, the parlor is relatively quiet, but with business picking up at night. But Wakako's Den is always an old-school oasis of calm, refined elegance. Districts, the Badlands. If you think Night City is dangerous, just wait till we get to the Badlands. I want to try to get to the Badlands, legitimately. Like, from an RP-driven perspective, I think very early on I was attempting. I thought it'd be, I wouldn't have been distracted so quickly and so with the Jackie funeral thing. Felt like I needed to do it. Then I got reminded about the Evelyn thing, and that was still a thing that I could actually follow up on. I was like, oh, I would like to clean that up, and then my idea would be, okay, now let's leave Night City and let's see what's out in the Badlands, because that's where I'm from, and I really am curious about how from an RP perspective, what's the story? Like, I don't really have a story. I have a story, but I don't know if I trust the story as a player. But I feel like as a character, I should know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know. So I want to get out in the Badlands. I want to see if I can trigger something, even if it's accidental, and I'm just kind of like constructing ideas together to tell more of this V story based on experiences I have out there before I kind of get caught up into the Night City world, which is the stuff that I think he'd want to get out of this scenario. He doesn't want any of this, but he is getting pulled into a bunch of like things that so he's sort of being pulled. He's being dragged along. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like that he's being dragged into all of this stuff. Anyways, he doesn't have a choice, but he does, but he doesn't, you know. Okay, the areas bordering the city to the east and south are actually 8 different zones that vary in character and landscape. There's the trailer park of Red Peaks, the plains of Rocky Ridge, and desert of Sierra Sonora, stretching out to the east, whose landfills emit a stench that's often blown all the way into the city. Wonderful. Saturated with chemicals and acid rain, nothing will ever grow again in this region of the Badlands. Anyone who has to cross the area does it quickly, and if they're smart, with an armed escort in case they run into wraiths. A gang made up of exiled nomads. Oh. So I mean, like, that'd be cool to run into that. So just fucking learn about it a little bit. You can compare them to vultures, though at least vultures have the decency to wait until their prey is dead. The south paints a much less apocalyptic picture with Biotechnica's protein farms and the Jackson Plains power plant. A trip to the neighboring lake of Laguna Bend at sunset is the most picturesque view the Badlands has to offer. Just make sure you don't touch the water. There's a saying that everyone should visit the Badlands at least once in their lives. Sounds like something the Wraiths would say. City Center. Oh, but then that stuff says new, you son of a bitch liar. Okay, the city center. If you stand in the middle of Corporal Plaza and observe what's around you, all the breathtaking mega buildings, office blocks, bars, clubs, architectural wonders, and dazzling neon signs, it's hard to believe that only a few decades ago the area looked like a smoldering battlefield in the aftermath of the Fourth Corporate War and the nuclear attack at Arasaka Tower. As anyone with a pair of optics could see, City Center was fully built, surpassing even its former glory with more modern and cutting-edge architecture. It serves one purpose and one purpose only: to flaunt the city's economic power and prove that Night City is freer than ever before. Haywood is a district of contradictions. The northern part of that borders the city center is modern and well kept, proud of its stunning mega buildings, parks, and places that are open to the public. But all you have to do there is go a few blocks southeast and the scenery starts to change dramatically. This part of Haywood is much poorer and more dangerous. The buildings are smaller and the streets are controlled by the Valentinos and the 6th Street Gang. If you know your place and keep your head down, Haywood isn't really so bad. After all, it's where most of Night City sleeps. If you're not a corpo and you score an apartment in the richer part of the district, then you've just won the lottery. Otherwise, just be happy you live in Haywood. In Night City, things could always be worse. Santo Domenico. Santo Domenico is one of Night City's oldest districts. Luckily, its location meant it avoided the worst damage from the Fourth Corporate War, though the tens of thousands of Night citizens deprived of their homes still built provisional camps and settlements. Today, no trace of them remains. Santo Domenico has instead become an industrial hub with an abundance of enterprises and manufacturing and power plants. Corporations are in constant battle over influence in the district. Real estate changes hands, new businesses pop up, and old businesses fall. Meanwhile, construction sites are guarded by combat troops guarding corporate property and secrets, though often they serve as law enforcement in cases when a company shuts down and fires all its staff, mostly around Rancho Coronado, raising the risk of riots. Westbrook. A fair amount of Night citizens firmly believe that Westbrook is the best district to live in. After all, that's where the richest and most influential people in Night City live, including the picturesquely situated North Oak, probably the most beautiful neighborhood in the city. Charter Hill has its charm too, home to ambitious and enterprising corpos who are about halfway up their career ladders. Last but not least, Japantown is widely known as Night City's party district. I've seen Japantown written together, conjoined like this, but also separated with a capital T, strangely enough. Yes, indeed, Westbrook is where everyone wants to be. But it wasn't always like that. Over 50 years ago, after the nuclear attack on Arasaka in 2023, the part of Westbrook's next to city center sustained serious damage. The bomb's earthquake completely wiped out Japantown's high rises, leaving behind ghostly crooked skeletons looming over the district for the next 2 decades. Charter Hill was inundated with refugees. Even North Oak saw ramshackle huts and tents hastily put up on its slopes. Luckily, by the 40s, the great restoration of Night City was already underway. The ruins of mega buildings were removed, replaced by shining monoliths from predominantly Asian corporations, returning Japantown to its former glory. Charter Hill was also cleaned up and soon saw new homes for corporate employees. The refugee and homeless encampments in North Oak lasted for much longer, remaining a sore sight on the city's for the city's authorities. Crime levels there beat the city's records, for a time even soaring above those of the combat zone. Eventually, the area was brought under order with the help of mercenaries, and short after it became North Oak, the North Oak we know today, the most exclusive and secure area in Night City. And then we have Watson. Watson was supposed to be the beating heart of Night City. A few decades ago, Japanese zaibatsus invested billions of euro dollars in skyscrapers, nightclubs, the Med Center, even industry in the northern area, all intended to make the district self-sufficient and prosperous. But everything changed when Arasaka returned to the city after the Unification War. The corporation steamrolled all of its competitors, and without a stable financial sector, Watson caved in on itself. Jobs in the north side industrial district completely evaporated, leaving people on the streets, allowing Arasaka to buy up all the now cheap real estate. Turns out the move was calculated. Arasaka needed port access. Today, Watson is one of Night City's poorest districts, inhabited mainly by workers in north side earning etsis. We have sub-districts. Arroyo. When are they going to finish Arroyo? Residents like to joke about their district. For many, it seems like a never-ending construction site, with buildings being bulldozed overnight to make way for new ones that same morning. Arroyo currently hosts a power plant, a fully automated factory, a logistics center, and a gigantic landfill. Arroyo's no Pacifica, but investment has been shaky. Driving through, you'll see the scores of decrepit or unfinished buildings, but just because the factories and warehouses are closed doesn't mean they're abandoned. Many of them serve as hideouts for the 6th Street Gang. Perhaps then it isn't strange that whatever's still owned by Arasaka or Petrochem is carefully guarded by corporate military squads. Corporate Plaza. Rebuilt after the 4th Corporate War, Corporate Plaza is one of the most iconic places in Night City today as a symbol of corporate prowess. Its Goliath skyscrapers and mega buildings are an economic show of force and prestige for corporations such as Arasaka and Militech, as well as proof of their inferiority complex. Corporate Plaza's main attraction is Memorial Park, a huge ring surrounding the corporate headquarters. The park is also a tribute to the countless victims of the 4th Corporate War. Every day the plaza is teeming with everyone from corporal suits to NCPD officers and armed to the teeth corporal security. More than anything, an indication that peace and order are not among the Night City's natural qualities. We have downtown. Downtown is one of the newest districts in Night City, having been rebuilt after the Arasaka headquarters bombing. If you buy a postcard in Night City, chances are it has a picture of downtown. Apart buildings? The hell is that? With its sky-high office and apart buildings? I've never heard of apart buildings. Is that when they're apart but connected? Okay. Corporate hotels and exclusive restaurants. It all screams glamour and luxury, no matter where you turn. You'll see animated billboards and ads for bars, BD clubs, or love hotels. For those who have cash to spend, downtown is the beating heart of the city. But like all other districts, downtown also has a darker side. After dusk, in sketchy alleyways, hotels, and bars, you can meet dealers offering synthetic drugs and illegal brain dances. Most places offering nighttime entertainment are also guarded by gang members, businessmen, and criminals. Didn't I learn that? Ooh-wee. I'll be back. I will be back. Prestige and fraud, power, and brute strength. These are all two sides of the same coin called downtown. Rancho Coronado. Oh, we did. I just read about this. Okay, so some insist that Rancho Coronado is not a district in Night City, but in fact a little town situated on its edge. I like it. It's like a shanty town type of thing. It's cool visual. It could seem that way at first, with its identical townhouses reminiscent of the classic 20th century inner city suburb, quaint stores, bars, a park, school, and subway station. Sounds like the American dream, right? Well, that's exactly what the land and factory owners of Arroyo thought when they designed the neighborhood. Every building was intended for workers living near their respective plants. Corporations, they're like mining communities up in like territories without like, you know, direct access to civilization and stuff like that. That's crazy talk. They just get torn down after. Got a couple of these in Canada. Every building, drove through a couple. Anyways, every building was intended for workers living near the respective plants. Corporations even made sure that Rancho Coronado had its own law enforcement, since the NCPD couldn't be relied on. Rancho Coronado now mostly houses middle and higher ranking corporate employees from nearby factories and offices who wanted to get away from the city. Interesting. Residents from other districts like to joke that it resembles more of a hamster cage. Everyone in Rancho Coronado has everything they need in one place. You've got your wheels, your water, your food. What more could you ask for? Yeah, that's true. Vista del Rey. There's no need to sugarcoat it. Vista del Rey is the worst part of Haywood, eaten alive by poverty and oppression. Gangs are the neighborhood's undisputed rulers, though the streets they rule over are often deserted. Fugitives or suspicious types hide in the shadows of mega buildings that have seen much better days. Now their rundown exteriors seem to scorn you as you pass them. It's no wonder that the vistas is a thorn in the side of the powers that be in neighboring districts like Corporate Plaza and North Oak. Corporate executives would happily forget about the squalor of Haywood if it weren't literally right on their doorsteps. Every once in a while, rumors circulate that the city's authorities could take over and clean up Vista del Rey, but who'll actually step up to the task? Wellsprings. I like that art. I like that hair. Looks lizardy. They say Wellsprings is where you can find the average middle-class night citizen. They're not entirely wrong. Situated right next to city center, the buildings are modern-looking, reminiscent of the city's overhaul after the Fourth Corporate War. But the further southeast you go, the more the architecture becomes more diminished, older, and often neglected. Homes aren't that expensive here. You can even score a 400-something square foot apartment for a decent price. In other words, Wellsprings is pretty stable until you find yourself in the eastern part of the district, where the houses look like they're about to fall apart and distrusting faces leer at you from broken windows. Valentino's graffiti covers the walls, but as long as you don't get in their way, they couldn't give less of a shit about you. On the other hand, the scavengers to the south, well, let's just say if you've got any ounce of sense in that skull, you won't find yourself there after dark. The Badlands Dam. A multi-million euro dollar undertaking, an industrial feat, 2 million hectoliters of toxic water, and hundreds of flooded homes. Welcome to the Badlands. When the dam was under construction, it was obvious there would also be a reservoir, which sounded great in theory. The townsfolk put that piece of knowledge in the back of their heads and didn't stop to wonder why they needed a dam. Why here of all places, and who was profiting from it? Spoiler alert, it wasn't the town's residents, and since losers don't get to write history, any memory of them and their tragedy evaporated from the collective consciousness as quickly as the morning drew on a hot summer's morning. Jotaro Shobo. If Night City had a contest for the most rotten to the core piece of human garbage, Jotaro Shobo would stand a pretty decent chance of winning. Maybe not first place, but he'd definitely be up there. Jotaro is a high-ranking Tiger Claws ganger who, thanks to his intelligence, loyalty, and ruthlessness, quickly made his way up the pecking order. He rules his lackeys with an iron fist and is never late with his cut for the bosses, who repay him with protection and turning a blind eye to his various hobbies. One of them includes recording brain dances, and anyone who relive them calls him the devil of Kabuki. Well, that's interesting. I like that suit. Take it off. Because I want to wear it. Oswald, Woodman, Forest, Woodman, get it? Boners. Cloud's very own caretaker, Woodman, as he's called, is responsible for 8 years old. Cloud's very own caretaker, Woodman, as he's called, is responsible for evaluating the doll's performance and the guy who solves problems, including disposing of problematic dolls. A smooth operator with ties to the Tiger Claws, he's right where he wants to be, ridiculously self-assured, generally rude, and a smartass. I didn't get to find that out, did I? Some say Woodman was born without an ounce of empathy, but that's not entirely true. He had felt compassion once, but didn't see any use for it. Still, people like Forrest are indispensable to greasing the mighty cogs of the porn industry machine. Wait a minute. Oh no, my curse is back. Remember when I said these new tags disappeared when I clicked the swings? What happened? What happened? You were doing so good. You were doing so good. You're doing so good. Okay, world, drones. Yay, they're gone again. Drones are the perfect machines. We don't need to read this, right? Like many modern technologies, they were originally designed in military labs, only enjoying widespread use after entering the global market. Their versatility ensures that any user will find a use for them, from espionage all the way to package delivery, Amazon, or simply as a children's toy. Coupled with a Comlink headset, they're perhaps the closest thing some people have to flying. Scavengers. You could call them grave robbers, were it not for the fact that they never wait for a body to reach the graveyard, nor for it to be actually dead. The scavengers specialize in acquiring high-quality implants by whatever means necessary. If you've got the tech that's as expensive as a moderately sized mansion in North Oak, you're asking for trouble. That's why you want to make sure those implants can make themselves useful in a dark, rainy alleyway, or that trauma team will come for you instead of the shady-looking guy with a black bag and a thick Eastern European accent. Ripper Doc. A Ripper Doc lies somewhere between a surgeon, techie, and tattoo artist. If you're lucky, you pay them a visit to get yourself chipped with the latest implants on the market because you can afford it. If you're unlucky, a friend will drop you off at their clinic in pieces, and hopefully they can put you back together. That's crazy. People mechanics. People usually have their favorite clinics and trusted rippers that know their bodies better than they do themselves. It's definitely not worth going out on a limb, no pun intended, and looking for the cheapest deal, especially in Little China or past Rancho Coronado, where some asshole will chip you a second or third hand piece of junk with a nasty virus thrown in for your charge. Corps obviously don't have to hunt for the best deals because they have their own corporate rippers. Their high-quality services are free. Their clinics smell like a hospital ward, and they have picture-perfect smiles of brain dance stars. The whole package. What's not to like? Unless, of course, you don't trust the people who work for enough to let them have access to your brain. Trauma team. 7 minutes or a refund. That's the trauma team guarantee. The team of guarantee that type of guarantee that warms policyholders' heart as they begin to bleed out in the alley. Assuming you haven't lost consciousness from blood loss, don't worry as you count the seconds of life slipping you by, because help is on the way. First, you'll see a heavily armored AV descend from the sky using its heavy machine gun turrets to mow down the bastards who are trying to kill you. Then you'll see the medics, your guardian angels, clad in green and white and armed to the teeth. And once the trauma team staff puts you back together, just a together here. You can cut out that two together. You'll get the bill for your copay. It may have a long list of zeros attached to it, but you'll still sign up for a half-year policy extension with a smile on your lips. Trauma Team provides medical, paramedical, and extraction services in all of the world's major cities. Their services are highly respected and sought after by those who can afford them. In fact, this may be the only corporation that enjoys such a high level of public trust. They don't play politics, they don't ask questions. As long as you pay your dues, your life is safe in their hands, no matter how dire the situation. Yeah, I like these team shots for these things. Netrunners. In 2077, the use of computer technology has become truly universal. Some use a PDA, others personal computers, still others a neural processor. Regular Janes and Joes know how to use these systems to access information, communicate, even fight. But there are others who can use the same tech to work wonders. Netrunners. A netrunner knows the ins and outs of computer systems, the programming languages, how to write or mod a killer virus. Deck in hand, they're just as dangerous as a corporate soldier armed to the teeth. Many netrunners are free agents working only for themselves. But a few have signed their own pacts with the megacorps and work to keep corporate data fortresses solid and impenetrable. Today, each and every corporation has a veritable army of netrunners on its payroll. Netrunners were once considered the rulers of cyberspace, using their skulljacks to roam a vast global network. They only needed special suits to cool their bodies, although, a tub full of ice, would do for penniless punks. Wonder what, because at the very opening, right? We pulled that lady out of the ice tub. Yeah, but it was like scavengers. There's a narrative about the scavengers, but now I'm reading this and I'm like, well, they were in a building full of a lot of gear and shit. So I don't know, man. Seems a little bit like it's like maybe buried subtext or something. They also needed special suits. Okay, blah 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 blah. But this era ended with the cataclysm wrought by the greatest runner of all, Roach Bartmoss. Bartmoss. OAs, whatever. Cyberspace became a land of demons, cut off by the nearly impenetrable Blackwall. Blackwall is in this. Mercenaries. Let's say you've got a serious problem, and it just so happens you'd rather not get the police involved now, nor your buddies at the corp, who usually deal with this stuff. Maybe you were directly responsible for a shipment that mysteriously disappeared, or you'd like to see somebody else's shipment disappear. Somebody knows too much about you. Someone chose to work for the wrong corp, or maybe someone has suddenly become no longer necessary. In that case, you need someone to handle things for you. A techie solo, a net runner, or someone with more specialized skills. You need a mercenary. Mercs typically work with fixers, a go-between who slap together a team of pros with the right skills for the client. Fixers will take care of all the messy intricacies of dirty biz. You won't even have to meet the merc doing it for you if that's what you want. The job will get done quickly and discreetly for the right price, of course. Most mercs start out on the streets taking whatever comes their way until they can catch a fixer's attention. Only a few of them end up like Morgan Blackhand or Andrew Boa Wayland. That is to say, legends. Maelstrom. A gang that controls the districts of Watson and the Northside Industrial District. You can easily recognize them by their intimidating faceplates and hostile optic implants, which not only indicates their gang affiliation, but also their fetishization of cyberware and cyber modification. Looking at Maelstrom, you might think, now those are some hella bold pioneers of transhumanism. If they were only testing the limits of the human body on themselves, then you'd be right. Sadly, they also like to construct experiments on those unfortunate enough to cross their paths. Maelstrom is known for their exceptionally brutal and public gang executions. Combine that with illegal brain dance production and a manic fighting style, and you've got yourself a gang with a reputation as a band of lunatics on the verge of cyberpsychosis. The truth is there's nothing crazy about the how Maelstrom operates. At the end of the day, it's all about biz. And the more rumors there are about them, the better. Curious and interesting. Cool. The Relic. Secure your soul. Relic is an interface and component of Arasaka experimental flagship project publicly known as Secure Your Soul. It uses the concept of personality transferal by converting the data in the human nervous system into a digitized engram and stored on a construct on a Relic biochip. The purpose of Secure Your Soul is the ability currently only available to the wealthiest clients to communicate with deceased loved ones. The personality constructs, which are preserved on the Relic biochip, mean that in practice, death is no longer the ultimate barrier. However, it doesn't take a genius to realize that the potential for the relic technology is much higher. Arasaka currently is not sharing any information on its further plans for the program. The Mox. The youngest established gang in Night City, its beginnings date back to 2067 when the murder of a sex worker sparked riots that lasted days. The gang formed out of the protests attracted many others to its ranks for years after. The Mox is a motley crew of current and former sex workers, punks, freaks, and all kinds of outcasts. The gang's main headquarters is Lizzie's Bar, a braindance club that serves as the Mox's main source of income. The gang's aesthetic is characterized by aggressive kitsch, loud colors, and plastic and latex. Tiger claws. I don't know why I've got an RP hatred for these dudes. I don't know. I'll build up to it, but I have no idea. Just they got singled out. They were the first ones who like caused me trouble. That's how it stands out to me. Whereas the Mox, I feel like I'm aligned with the Mox just fundamentally. The way they kind of came together, the way they protect each other. You know, they're kind of like a family. Not that the other gangs aren't, but you know, I don't know. It just feels right to me. Night City is a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities, though when it comes to Asian demographic, the Chinese and Japanese influence is unmistakable. The gang, the Tiger Claws, are well organized, efficient, and savvy, but also unpredictable. Their business decisions are purely rational. Well, I don't know. The people who like confronted me and got their heads cut off. I mean, I don't know how rational that was. But when it comes to their enemies or a disloyal gang member, their methods can be shocking. The Tiger Claws mainly operate out of Japantown, Little China, Kabuki, and Charter Hill. Their main source of income are nightclubs, casinos, and braindance bars. Night citizens love to have a good time. No other gang knows how to capitalize on that better than the Tigers. The Doll Chip. Originally created in a military lab, the Doll Chip found its true calling in the entertainment industry, specifically the sex industry. It is comprised of three main functions: importing data from systems, steering the doll's behavior in session, and wiping the doll's memory after each and every session. The last function has turned out to be very attractive to applicants looking to work in dollhouses. Clients are also on board. The dolls are completely unaware of what happens to them during the session, giving clients absolute freedom and discretion. It's a win-win, right? Mikoshi. Mikoshi is one of the most heavily guarded data fortresses in Arasaka and holds the digitized minds of clients from the Secure Your Soul program. For security reasons, the information about the program is still classified by the corporation, and the physical location of Mikoshi is a closely guarded secret. Together, the smattering of access points nested in cyberspace among the netrunners who have breached Arasaka, there's a widespread belief that Mikoshi is a soul prison for the digitized victims of Soul Killer. That's the thing that pulled in Johnny. Rumor has it that Arasaka uses the souls of captured netrunners to use them as data collectors, but so far no one has been able to verify this. Solo. Soldiers, corporate bodyguards, cyber ninja. They can call themselves whatever they want, but to the rest of the world they're simply solos. Solos are mercenaries who specialize in combat skills, whether on the battlefield or as private hired muscle. Nice. They'll fight for corporate or government armies, private security companies, criminal organizations, even the police, but most prefer to earn their eddies on shorter-term jobs. We live in increasingly trying times, so solos have no shortage of opportunities. It's guaranteed work in a still growing industry, but it does have its dark side. Every professional solo needs to keep up with the trends in new tech and invest in better equipment, weapons, cyberware, gadgets, and supplements, which will ensure they stay smarter, faster, and stronger than their opponents. But they must also remain vigilant, as this push for progress can cross a line from which there is no return. According to official MaxTac data, solos are the largest demographic in confirmed cyberpsycho cases. Damn, there's a lot of these. Petrochem. Our planet's moving forward thanks to Petrochem. That commercial slogan is only half exaggerating. Thanks to its partnership with the bioengineering corporation Biotechnica, Petrochem converts genetically modified wheat grown on Biotechnica's millions of acres of farmland into the biofuel of the future. Cooch, I think I called it. Cooch. In addition, it also has limited rights to grow its own modified grain. That means nobody can entirely avoid Petrochem. Though while their influence and resources shouldn't be overstated, their competitors are fully aware of Petrochem's economic and political power. If the megacorporation were able to monopolize fuel economy in the country, Petrochem would call the shots on everything. That's why the Corps doesn't skimp on its security, hiring the best industry counter intel specialists and always stationed on high alert. An attack could come from anywhere and anytime. A rocker boy. A class of 21st century rebels who turned their music into a weapon and aimed it at corporations and powers that be. Their unruly artists, street heroes, charismatic frontmen firing up thousands of fans at concerts that usually end up in riots. Their uncompromising attitude, politically radical lyrics and performances has granted them their sociological status. Their fingers are as dexterous on the frets as they are on their triggers. When words and music aren't enough to get their message across, Johnny Silverhand set the bar for rocker boys, and not much has changed. 50 years after his mysterious death, rocker boys are still screaming their throats bloody about oppression by the system, though there are some like Carrie Eurodyne, that's the partner, who are accused of selling out and abandoning punk rock disobedience for money and fame. Even if that were true, the world still needs its musical revolutionaries, and they're still among us. Maybe they're just starting to compose their first fuck you songs, or maybe they're about to stumble out of a seedy dive and throw down the gauntlet to the Corps and the badges. But when they finally start making noise, that's when people will start to listen. Techies. You see a few odd nuts and bolts or scraps of metal. A good techie sees a work of art. You press a button and the device just works. A techie knows why and how to make it work better. Techies are the sort to cut their teeth on tech by taking it apart and putting it back together. They open an electric panel and not only know how to shut off the power, but also send an elevator on elevator to a specific floor, reconnect alarm systems, or control a military bot from a safe remote distance. They're also needed wherever hardware meets soft brain dance, editing being one common example. Techies know it's not enough to have all the ones and zeros in the right place. You need something to feed the code into. They can calibrate implants with ease, understand the pages of minute specifications, and use this knowledge to their advantage. Most people think they don't need a techie, that their once a month Ripperdoc tune-ups are more than enough. Then they've got their back against the wall, bombs are exploding next door, and pop, something breaks. Suddenly a techie seems handy indeed. Netwatch. Netwatch was founded as a European net security company, but its success quickly transformed into an international agency sponsored by corporations. The Net Police specializes in securing data fortresses, pursuing unlicensed AIs, neutralizing hacks, removing software threats, and apprehending troublesome netrunners. Netwatch also maintains the Black Wall, a border of ice that guards against rogue post-crash AIs. Post-crash. Corporate propaganda likes to portray Netwatch agents as defenders of humanity, without which the net would have long ago collapsed. The truth is that it's not so hard to become a public enemy in the eyes of Netwatch. Go ahead, jack into and read the security protocols sent to every user on the net. The moment you step over the line, some eager rookie in the nearest Netwatch division will have a file on you in no time. Wildlife in Night City. Animals are a rare sight in Night City, but it wasn't always like that. Once upon a time, you could hear the cries of seagulls at the marina, swat your way through swarms of flies at the bazaar, and best of all, step in dog shit at the park. Everything changed in the second half of the 21st century when the city was brought to a standstill by animal-borne diseases. In 2051, 7,000 victims. 2059, 10,000. 2061, 12,000. They panicked. City council decided to eliminate all birds in the city, while exterminators started using military equipment for traps and fumigation. Personal pets could be kept, though owners were saddled with huge tax bills. Revere Courier Services, RCS. Revere Courier Services is a shipping corporation that operates on all continents, providing transport services for both commercial and individual clients. Their fleet consists of armored trucks, freighters, and aircraft capable of carrying high-value cargo. But the RCS pledge states that all cargo is sacred, whether it's luxury limousines destined for an African billionaire's estate or care package of moon cheese and banana butter bears. A grandmother from Vista del Rey sent her grandson on for Valentine's Day, while the limo would be transported on a massive freighter and the box of treats by scooter delivery. They both have one thing in common: they'll arrive in the right hands. Of course, RCS cannot give their full guarantee, as the shipping industry is a major target of piracy and theft. Still, in such cases, the company offers full compensation for stolen goods. Some of RCS's largest shipping vessels are protected by outsourced security, often mercenaries, whose presence is often deterrent enough for would-be aggressors. A vital service offered by RCS is physical data transfers for data that's too precious to upload to the net. Data couriers number among most experienced professionals, and damage or loss of shipment almost never occurs. Cyber psychosis. This is Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. Oh no, they're coming back. No, they're like a plague of locusts. It's when I scroll back up. I hate it. Oh no, they're gone again. Cyberpsychosis, as the trauma team medical docs define it, cyberpsychosis is a collective term for all psychotic and anxiety related personality disorders caused by hardware implanted in the body and any and all behavioral mods, including software. We all know someone whose neighbor took the chrome a little too hard, then left home one day with a gun and opened fire in a crowd, or perhaps said neighbor didn't want to cough up the credit for a good ripper, so they started suffering from nightmares and hearing voices. Once the hormone blockers were in, then they lost it. Some call cyberpsychosis a disease wrought by social inequality. Others say it's the price to be paid for the unhealthy love of technology. Still, others think it's complete bullshit. That is, until their neighbors shooting up the hood and their fingers dialing max tac. And then I sort of skipped over this. The Arasaka headquarters bombing. The only undisputable fact in the... I hate that this screws me up. The Arasaka headquarters bombing, because it's a plural, but then it's a singular. Every time my brain twists on that one. The only undisputable fact in this story is the date. 20th August 2023, the day of a nuclear explosion obliterated Corporal Plaza and a large chunk of city center. The rest is pure speculation, gossip, lies, and conspiracy theories, all the way from the number of casualties to those responsible for the attack. The most famous version, widely disseminated by corporate PR machines and trickled down through the media, tells of an unidentified terrorist group that was responsible for an armed assault on Arasaka Tower, followed by the explosion. But does anyone really take corporate press release seriously anymore? Take some of the more intriguing theories circulating on the streets today, that it was an inside job in an attempt to escalate the conflict between Arasaka and Militech, followed by an elaborately orchestrated cover-up, or the results of a failed experiment that spiraled out of control in a secret lab somewhere under Arasaka. How much of it is true? Yeah, that's true. Most likely we'll never find out, and even if we did, it wouldn't bring back the victims of the tragedy. Combat Cab. City overrun with gang violence, shootings, and cyber-psycho attacks. Security is at a premium. Anyone traveling to, or more likely passing through the city's sketchiest neighborhoods, always dial the number of Combat Cab. As detailed on their site, Combat Cab's a fleet of heavily armed vehicles can protect passengers from all weapons across the caliber spectrum. The fact that they are only transportation company operating within the combat zone should speak for itself. In recent years, the Delamain cab service has risen to claim the top market share in the heart of the city, but the public data terms financed by Combat Cab can still be found. Oh, okay, because they are... Oh, wait. Those are the fast travel. Maybe those are, it's all kind of mixed up. If you go to those stations, it's just, it's whatever. You're either getting on the tram or it's a taxi drops you off. I don't know. I still haven't taken one. I guess I should find out. I should take one. North California. Since the end of the Unification War, North California has struggled to lead the Free States in their opposition to the NUSA's agenda for reintegration. As a leader in the world's of finance and biotech, NorCal maintains one of the largest armed forces of any free state. However, even their substantial might is too little to challenge the federal government in open conflict. Instead, NorCal leadership stations its forces along the border, with the highest concentration of troops being placed on the border with South California, a state which has declared its allegiance to the NUSA government. That's such an interesting narrative thing going on there. And then we have the Valentinos. Loud vests, flashy gold cyberware, heavy jewelry, tattoos of Santa Muerte and Jesus Malaverde. You'd have a hard time mistaking a Valentino when you saw one. Inspired by Chicano culture, their expressive style makes them seem like something straight out of a Mexican barrio. But if you look closer, you'll see anyone can join the gang, no matter their background or ethnicity. The Valentinos are strictly territorial, operating in Haywood. They're tied to the local community by nearly familial bonds of friendship. And by biz, the Valentinos run completely legal businesses like restaurants, nightclubs, and auto shops. But all are fronts for their other dirtier biz of money laundering, smuggling stolen vehicles or guns, human trafficking, and gang warfare. The Valentino's friendship is priceless, and it will follow you to the grave, so you might want to think twice before riding with them. They seem like, I mean, I could be cool with them, but she's like that human trafficking. Like, there's certain things where it's like, no, you're gonna be cool until you're not cool, and when you're not cool, you're really gonna be not cool, and then you're just gonna be a tiger claw. Just gonna be another one of those that gotta get taken down. I think I'm done. Oh my god. Under the hour of record. Oh, I haven't done. Never mind. False alarm. Scroll all the way up here. Where are we at? Oh, wow. These are guns? Weapons. So we have weapons and vehicles left. Crazy. So close. Journals. I want to go to messages. Let's catch up on this to make sure nothing was left behind here. No, I don't think so. They would mark it, right? So, cool. Shards. Oh no, Shards. Ooh, I mean, I don't want to make another episode of this, but geez Louise, I'm really behind on these. Here, let's which ones am I gotta focus on some though, you know? Here, hold on, let's close these up. I can get this one done right now. Technology, so these are so long too. Technology. Introduction. The implant known widely as the pain editor is cyberware that reduces or even entirely eliminates pain. It has enjoyed unwavering popularity for years among certain circles in Night City, the most devoted and arguably most valuable of which is mercenaries. It is using this test group that Zetatech conducted the following research. The pain editor is a neural compressor that inhibits the signals set from nociceptors to the parietal lobe of the brain, thus preventing feelings of pain to the user. Note, some models also reduce symptoms of fatigue. Is that what I got? Is that what, like, it's like whole status bar? The beneficial effects caused by the pain editor are in some ways similar to the symptoms of hypothesia, including greater resistance to physical forms of torture and the ability to ignore pain from several wounds, which can allow the user to continue to perform beyond normal human limitations for a brief period. However, some studies have reported that the pain editors can yield a range of undesirable side effects. For example, in the heat of battle, some users are unaware of the severity of their wounds, which causes them to continue fighting without realizing that they are dying and require immediate medical attention. The statistics support the theory that a lack of negative reinforcement may cause users to continue fighting when the rational strategy would be to retreat and escape death. Since 2020, the mortality rate of pain editor owners is above 60%. In this report, I addressed the question of how to better protect Zetatech clients from avoidable death while using our pain editors. Oh dear. WYSIWYG. What you slot is what you got. Like what you see is what you get. That's fun. Okay, so the girl brushed a violet lock of hair from her forehead and and winked at the man with a silver tattoo standing on the opposite side of the room, sending him the studied smile of a charming ditz. At this moment, Lucy Murray was the fluff-brained daughter of Cosmotech CEO, known for her love of hot pink cars and an IQ that matches her shoe size. I'm guessing who this might be a joke on. She couldn't afford to slip out of her character. Not... Okay, never mind. Well, yes, but no. Well, not if she wanted to finish the job. Hey, she called out in a thin, pouty voice with a note of vocal fry. So glad you came by. Ever since Daddy bought me this cafe for my B-day, almost no one comes here anymore. She had him then, hook, line, and sinker. Not the way I sounded. He turned to look at her, some exaggerated yet flirtatious pity in his expression, then started over towards the counter. Lucy executed a quick scan to identify the organic parts of his body and prepared the hypodermic needle containing the sleeping agent. She took 3 steps in the tattooed man's direction, and as she's done dozens of times before, pretended to stumble. Of course, he caught her as she fell into his chest. God damn it, typos. I'm already terrible live reader, so I mean this is not helping. Then in a blur, Lucy injected the needle into the exposed patch of organic tissue. No gasp, no surprise, no shouts, not a single peep. As he slumped to the floor, Lucy smiled again, this time in triumph. I have him, Peter. She hollered towards the back room, dropping her sugary Valley Girl tone. Is the deck ready? Without waiting for an answer, she grabbed her pair of Cosmo Glass and launched the neural data retrieval program. She was no longer Lucy Murray, but the elusive netrunner known as Bubblegum, the best paid data thief in Night City. But she would not remain herself for long. In a moment, she would soon become the man with the silver tattoo. Bubblegum loved her job. Breaking into people's memories was like riding a brain dance emo high. She felt as these foreign limbs became her own. She absorbed their thoughts, views, and mannerisms. It was no different this time. The tattooed man's mind began to eclipse hers until the last iota of Lucy Murray was pushed out. His name was Mark Collins, and he was walking along a derelict metro tunnel. There was a stale mustiness in the air. Mark Collins hates that smell. It must be about here, he thought. Listen, damned if I know how your neurosystems work, so I'll just say it out loud, he muttered as if to himself. I know you'll crawl into my head soon. The job comes from us. This was the only safe way to protect you. In a second, you'll be right below Cosmotech. I'll show you what your father's keeping locked up in basement level 5, so watch close, because only you can help us. Other Beelzebub's tales to his grandson. Yeah, I am curious. Even before our arrival, many beings in Babylon had lost their minds over this subject, while many others were inching closer to the same fate. The burning question of the day, the question that racked the brains of both pitiful scientists and normal beings of Babylon was this: do we have a soul or not? There were all sorts of the most fantastic theories on the subject, with new ones appearing all the time, and each and every one of the tempting hypotheses had its supporters. Despite the overwhelming number and diversity of these beliefs, it's true though. I've read quite a few of them. Yeah. No, the consensus is not going to happen. They were all based on one of 2 completely opposing premises. The first was called atheism, while the other was idealism or dualism. All dualistic hypotheses held that the soul existed, and of course that it was immortal and could suffer many things even after the death of the being. Meanwhile, the atheistic theories held the complete opposite view. In short, my boy, when we come to Babylon, we come upon what could only be called constructing the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is the incomprehensible kind of, it's a mythological tower, and you can't understand anything. It's always just muttering nonsensical stuff, and sometimes it feels like when you're learning about philosophy, that's what philosophy sounds like. Okay, notes. Evelyn's schedule. Oh. Where did I pick this up from? Whoops. So we have Wendy D, Cloud Shift. Oh, just nail it. Thomas. Yeah, well, where's Thomas B? Who's Thomas B, right? Maybe that matters. Mustachio Turd dinner. Jerry O'Connell meeting. Just a lot of names, you know, but if I read them out loud, sometimes I'll remember. Sometimes. And we have a 8 p.m. on Friday. Oh, I see. Different days. Okay, and then we have Judy. Breakfast. Canceled. Okay, and then we have schedule changes. Incident report. Flynn and you. I have no context of any of this. Commotion in VP area. Flynn and you. All currently employed security called for emergency. Tiger Claws reinforcement called. Fight between two clients. Both escorted off. Okay, this was in the last building we were in. Doll called security. Client was threatening her. Client escorted off premises. Problem with payment. Friend paid for client. Client refused to leave club. Escorted off premises. Saturday, Flynn and White. Shift change. Client lost consciousness at the bar. Recovered by trauma team. Fight broke out at the entrance. Payment was rejected. Client was making a scene. Doll beat up. Client fainted in a booth. Resuscitated by Doll. Group of 3 clients refused to leave club. Escort off premises. This was maybe his. Flint and you. I feel like I probably should have had that context. Wouldn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Leaflets. The foodie guide to Night City. Sure, why not? I'm already going over an hour. Let's do this. The world traveler in Night City is faced with a dilemma. Enjoy the local cuisine or save their gut the trouble. If you don't own a trauma team policy, you are probably better off sticking to the tried and tested chains and exclusive restaurants. But if you do, Night City is full of risk that packs a lot of reward. Here's your risk reward breakdown of Night City's good eats for the cautious consumer. Blue. Gourmet dining experience with some of the highest accolades and richest portfolios in the city. If you're after high quality locally sourced ingredients, Blue is the place for you. Among its marquee dishes are authentic caviar, oysters, and imported prosecco. The alabaster white interior adorned with minimalist decor is perfect for a relaxing night out following a day of hustle and bustle. Pepper and Spice, a unique locale on the culinary map of Night City. This eatery was founded by renowned travel icon Tony Halleck. It stands apart from the competition thanks to its diverse menu of transcontinental fusion dishes, most of which are offered at surprisingly reasonable prices. Caribbean, Polish, Kenyan. It's all here, just not in the combination you've ever seen before. The crowd's favorite? Halleck's own vanilla dumplings. For the gutsy Garamond. Buck a slice. According to urban legend, the NCPD has an entire fleet on the entire fleet on this mysterious deaths of homeless people. Oh no. Whose last meal was pizza from Buck a Slice. Oh god, I was going somewhere else there. True or not, bargain seekers living on a Eurodollar a lunch budget should still be prepared for gastrointestinal distress. Worth the risk only if you want a greasy slice of authentic Night City flavor. Plus, their secret recipe, chili spurt scuperoni, is unlike anything you've ever tasted, but only available on special requests. I probably didn't. Rue Lai. At Rue Lai, you'll find all of the 3 P's: potent, punchy, and pungent. Every visit to this local favorite is like playing a game of Chinese roulette. Regulars at Rue Lai claim you're just as likely to get bearable egg rolls and halfway decent rangoons as you are tainted tofu or Sichuan salmonella. You've been warned. Oh, these are fun. Orders. What's the order here? Lieutenant Mower. Threat level critical. Code red. Target presents symptoms of cyberpsychosis. Was that one of the dudes killing the homeless people, maybe? Results of telephone consultation with physician. Negative. Treatment impossible. Target is located at the attached coordinates and waiting for paramedics to arrive. Surprise attack possible. Warning. Target is armed with military-grade combat implants. Highest caution is advised upon neutralization of threat. Send report via encrypted channels. I think I have one more of these kinds of gigs, though, so it could be that one. Lieutenant Mower. Nope. Lieutenant Mower. Target Lieutenant. I see. It's the same thing. Was it the one I electrocuted by accident? Probably. Probably. Code red, code red. Copy. Reading the Biomon. Describe your symptoms. Convulsions, cramps. Can't shut off my implants. Oh no. Yeah, I probably should have read this. Well, I'll explain myself later. Understand. Biomon data suggests an inevitable loss of control. Soon. Oh my god, please, no. Don't call MaxTac. I just need some downers is all. Of course, don't worry. Militech takes care of its own. Head to this address. It's an out-of-the-way place. You won't be able to hurt anyone there. Oh. Our paramedics come get you and take you to a clinic. You'll be back to normal in a couple of days. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm feeling even more guilty now. I felt guilty even when I realized it in play. It was like it was V's like, I don't know, first go at it, I guess. He messed up. He misinterpreted. He got carried away. And I mean, he started seeing dead bodies of the dudes going in. But it's because it was Miltech, right? I mean, I get it now. But V got confused. I got confused, so V got confused. and you know what? My extra problem there, I would have had to draw up into the stairwell or something like that. Because, of course, I just installed an implant. I've got like 2 implants that zap people when I get damaged. And when I go under a certain amount of health. So, got electrocuted from that shit. Well, I can do. No problem. If you look up for your core, the court looks up for you. Yeah, well, you hired the wrong merc. You hired the wrong merc for that one. Congratulations. Good job. Should I keep going? This is going to be really long, but I feel like I can get to the end of this, but God. Let's do this. Yokai Japanese demons of yesterday and today. They make their homes on mountaintops and rivers and oceans, on city streets, and on every mega building floor with the number 4. Oh, nice. In it. Lore. 4 means death is the same kanji. Even in your washing machine or info visor. They're like gremlins. Japanese gremlins. Some appear in concrete places while others simply haunt a specific person. They're there when you hear a strange noise in the middle of the desert. They're there when you feel like someone's watching you, although there's not a soul in sight. They're there when you glimpse something out of the corner of the eye, something nobody else seems to notice, but you were just at the Ripper Docks for your checkup. The yokai first appeared in Japanese literature in the year 797. These mysterious beings, though closely linked to the invisible realm of the dead, have been alive in the Japanese consciousness from the very birth of animism. It's not that the Japanese believe in the yokai, they simply know the yokai exists. In addition to phantasms, ogres, and other mysterious phenomenon, the yokai also include a group of shape-shifting demons called obake, or bokomono. The bokomono are said to sometimes take the form of a faceless person, a one-eyed scarecrow, or even an animal. It's said that when a cat reaches a certain age, it becomes a bakaneko. These yokai are able to walk on their 2 hind legs, speak and dance, assume human form, and even devour their owners and take their place. The bakaneko. The bakaneko sometimes visit people in their sleep or even wake the dead. All they have to do is hop over a corpse to bring it suddenly back to life. However, the demons are capable of much, much more. One should exercise extreme caution around a double-tailed cat. This is a nekomata yokai with shamanistic and necromantic capabilities, able to place curses on people and control the dead. In its human form, nekomata resembles an old woman, often one addicted to some substance or other and with an eerie, disturbing air about her. However, let me assure American readers of this book today, the most likely place you'll find a bakaneko is in the form of lucky maneki neko figurines. After all, real cats are an even rarer sight these days than your average yokai. Oh, this little white cat's with the paws up. Just connected it. Nice. LATAM Wars. As a direct result of the armed conflicts on U.S. soil from the early 1990s until the early 2000s, Latin America, comprising South and Central America, remodeled itself into a strong federation of independent nations. Bound through mutual aid and cooperation, the U.S.'s military presence was forced from Latin America territories, with the exception of Panama, where it stood its ground despite fierce pressure from the guerrilla forces. Many researchers and contemporary historians maintain that the fact that the LATAM wars were responsible for the U.S.'s eventual collapse, breaking up the Gang of Four, CIA, FBI, DEA, and NSA, and decimating the U.S. Army. However, it's important to bear in mind that no external conflict could have toppled the colossus of American imperialism were it not already built on clay foundations. Avian Extermination Act, the AEA, was adopted by the United City Council on May 4th, 2063. Purpose: in the face of increasingly frequent and deadly zoonotic disease outbreaks, the City Council has decided that the most effective method of reducing the risk of infection among residents is via the extermination of all avian life within 18 miles of city limits. See Figure 1. The extermination process will begin on May 7, 2063, once the call and selection of tenders for the contract have been completed. Or you didn't want to code birds in your skies. And you built lore around it, which is fine because it actually makes sense in the world. Forward to the second edition of The Maxtac Way by Matthias Maddox. I was fortunate after publishing the first edition of this book to meet many people with fascinating stories. I spoke with people who lost loved ones at the hands of cyberpsychos. I met the relatives of people whom I shot. Needless to say, not every conversation ended on good terms. After some time, I learned what questions to expect from my readers. Have you ever been shot? Yes, and I've lost count. Who was the most difficult person to kill, arrest? The 2063 Golden Springs Mall killer. More titanium bone and synth skin than man. What causes cyberpsychosis? I'll let you know when I find out. Then, at a book signing in Haywood, I was asked a question I had never heard before. Is there anything that keeps me awake at night? After a moment's reflection, I realized the answer was yes. Perhaps most surprisingly, however, it was not nightmares of eviscerated cyberpsycho victims, nor the shrieks and cries of my squad mates as they burned alive. Cruel as it may sound, I grew used to that. It was just part of the job. No, what caused my heart to pound as I lie in bed late at night is the thought that one day I too could succumb to cyberpsychosis. The amount of cyberware I have incorporated into my body is substantial, far more than most. I tried to drown the human parts of me that fear and doubt. I am aware just how fragile my humanity is, that piece of myself deep within that makes me who I am. One poorly clipped neuron, one hormonal overdose, and that piece may disappear forever, leaving behind an automaton with only one desire, to kill. In truth, I forced my mind to race so I would not have to confront these thoughts. Today, I still struggle with these demons, but I have asked my wife to keep a loaded pistol in her bedside table. If I begin to scream or rant incoherently in the middle of the night, I instructed her to empty the entire clip between my eyes. At first, she objected, but our love is strong. It is thanks to my loving wife's promise that I have never slept as soundly as I do now. She says, the psychos of Maxtac. If a psychotic killer is prowling the streets, they're supposed to defend us. If your average Joe Blow goes ballistic in his cubicle, they're supposed to bag him and drop him off at the psych unit. They're supposed to make us feel safe in a world of madness. But be honest with yourself. Have you ever really felt safe in the presence of Maxtac? What the mainstream media won't tell you is that the 90% of Maxtac interventions end in the killing of the cyberpsychos, and if you confront anyone about it, the official word is they only take the life when absolutely necessary. But don't buy into their bullshit. For them, the kill is a must, to keep bystanders happy with a display of bloodstained justice. And if a few civilians die, tough. They'd say it's just a necessary evil for the greater good. Only, who's good exactly? I witnessed one of these interventions firsthand. The cyberpsycho stormed into a mall, armed to the teeth, and shot 7 people before slipping into a detached state of calm. Mumbling God knows what to himself, Maxtac arrived after a few minutes and immediately opened fire. The gunfire jolted the cyberpsycho back into a frenzy. By the time Maxtac secured the area, 25 people had died. What a heroic success, huh? You waiting for a bottom line? Here it is. All Maxtac members used to be cyberpsychos themselves, every single one. The same people who butchered innocents on the streets just a month, a week, a day earlier are now there's a glitch in the system, are now our knights in shining armor. Is it any surprise nearly Each of their interventions ends in an unavoidable massacre. Just a funny coincidence, you tell me. America after the war. Turbulent years of 2024 to 2035. At the end of the Fourth Corporate War, in order to establish relative order under the federal government, President Elizabeth Kress imposed martial law on NUS member states and nationalized the domestic arms manufacturing giant Militech. Preoccupied with their own internal issues, most of Europe and Japan paid little attention to the developments in North America. Back in the 1990s, corporations had already begun aggressively purchasing huge swaths of arable land from farmers, those who were left with no choice but to sell eventually found each other and organized into larger groups or clans to improve their odds of survival. Looking for reliable work opportunities meant staying on the move and often specializing transport contracts. Yet, once the war settled down, their convoys became the single reliable, safe method of interstate shipping. In other words, this time of crisis and adaptation played a major role in the emergence of a so-called nomad social class. Meanwhile, in the 2040s, NetWatch created an immense firewall dubbed the Black Wall to partition a safe part of the net for human use and curb the threat of rogue artificial intelligence in cyberspace. At the organization's discretion, humanity was forced to sacrifice its access to inestimably valuable resources and knowledge for the sake of net security. The day the tower fell. In early August 2023, a single event would change the course of history. Although it fell against the bloody backdrop of the Fourth Corporate War, the global media still fed on the story for weeks. And could you blame them? A group of terrorists detonated a nuclear bomb, blowing Arasaka Tower to pieces. The terrorists' warning came too late. Not all of the tower's employees could be evacuated. The blast itself killed and wounded thousands, while countless others died from radiation sickness. How did the biggest terrorist attack of the 21st century happen? Who is behind the catastrophe? To find the answers, you'll need to first understand the context of the era. The early 2020s was a period of unrest for Night City, and anti-corporate sentiment was at an all-time high. In the epicenter of the city's lawlessness stood the Atlantis Club. It was seen as an island of resistance against the powers that be, partially megacorporations like Militech and Biotechnica, though a special place in hell was reserved for Arasaka, the Japanese arms manufacturing Zaibatsu that held the most influence over Night City. The kinds of people who frequented the Atlantis felt that corporations had hijacked the future and turned people into consumer slaves, and ironically deprived of the two things capitalism loved most, freedom and choice. These people called themselves edge runners. They positioned themselves against the corporate world order. They declared their own freedom and opposition to the status quo, but deprived of any peaceful way to meaningfully change what they called the system. They reached for more radical methods of self-expression, and these people were no strangers to violence. Good job, Johnny. Excerpts from A History of the Nomads by B.B. Pires. The first nomad code: protect and respect your clan, and especially your family. You are worth as much as your word. Thank you. It's great. This is me. Integrity. It means a lot to me. Share with others in your clan. Respect the privacy and well-being of your clans. Never put your clan in danger. Always take honest pay for honest work. You nomad code: protect your family and clan in that order. Do not steal from anyone in your clan. Do not keep for yourself that which may help another in your clan. It's hard to imagine a group less inclined to wandering than farmers, but in fact they were the ones who sparked the age of nomads. Natural catastrophes, crops ravaged by bioplagues, armed conflicts, and martial law allowing corporations to speculate and privatize land. All this forced them into a life on the road. The first clans recognized as nomadic were the Aldecaldos and the Jodes, or the Yodes, I don't know where the source of the language is for that word, followed shortly after by Snake Nation, Thelos Nation, Folk Nation, Blood Nation, and Metacore. Then how's that? Because then there's like Native American, feels like it's mixed in here. I'm thinking maybe like Mexican, or or like Spanish, from Mexican words. I don't know. So it's kind of a mix of all that, and then just whatever, because they accept anybody, right? So they're like truckers. Truckers became like the vagabonds or gypsies of this era. they formed a culture around it. A total of 7 nations. The Nomad Nations are divided into tribes, which are subdivided to even further into clans and families. A family typically numbers between 10 and 100 people, while the biggest nations can reach up to 1 million. Good lord, wow. At first, nomad activity was seen as anarchistic and subversive, mostly, as you can imagine, by corporations who quickly realized they wouldn't be able to control them. The biggest irony in all this is that it's thanks to the nomads that our cities were rebuilt after the wars and catastrophes that marked the first half of the 21st century. After all, families come together to build, not to destroy. Oh. God, I think I'm down to 1 category. I have 2 categories. Oh my god, this one's so full though. Articles. I can't do this. We're going to save this. Let me just look at them. But jeez Louise, man. Some of these got to be short. But I don't want to lose the new tag, you know, because then I'm gonna not know what I haven't read, you know. Drink menu, sorry, this one's got to be useless. Diente dorado, yeah. I don't know, man, but this looks like this could be a legitimate mix here, man. Interesting. Ooh, Kraken. Kraken's one of my favorite black spice rums. Num num num. Here's the thing: these keep popping up. Right, they keep popping up in the game too. So I think what I might do is, as they pop up, I'll try to read the one that pops up if I can remember, and then maybe I'll read one more, and I'll try to chip away at them that way. Or I have to do a 3rd episode of this at some time, but I'm sort of jonesing to game on the next session. So everything's freaking out. Look at my thingy freaking out. There we go. But for now, I think I need to hit the city again. I need to get some actual gameplay in.
Interesting.
What's interesting? I still haven't watched the TV. There's so much to do and absorb, but I have to walk away. I'm going to play the game. Next episode, we're going to head back onto the streets. I have to. Sorry if you wanted to see everything in one shot. I don't think you did, because this is going to like kill people who don't care about this kind of stuff, and they just want me to get back out there and get back to the grind. So, I mean, sorry, but I mean, I gotta absorb this stuff. What do you want me to? What do you want from me? I can only do so much. So my decision is gonna be: do I go to Fingers Clinic, or do I do some? Part of me is also like side jobs. I'm gonna aim towards Fingers Clinic, the main plot for the Evelyn thing, but I'm definitely gonna be doing side quests along the way. But I might even detour just slightly to pick up a few more of those and just buffer a little bit, because the main quest, I'm still a bit nervous about how that all pans out, and pushing that too far ahead too fast. I feel like some side quests might weave into it, because I know they have already for me, and the little that I've done. The one with the cop thing had that email. The email was important, you know, and so I just want to make sure I get more side quests in before moving on. So I'll catch you in the next episode where we get back onto the streets. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.